Home sellers, home sellers, home sellers. You need to hear this episode. Today, we're going to talk about offer deadlines. Boy, is this a topic. There are multiple sides to this particular topic, and I really want to make sure we get you actionable information so that you can use it when you go to sell your home, or if, heaven forbid, your home is sort of languishing on the market, what we can do to start using offer deadlines to get the ball rolling. All right, stick around. Hi, and welcome to Talking Realty, the go-to podcast for home sellers looking to save money, save time, and avoid headaches. Whether you're selling a flip, a new build, an income property, or the place you call home, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Glen Whitten, 20-year broker and founder of the Ohio Property Group. Most home sellers hate paying huge commissions to realtors. At the Ohio Property Group, we do the same things as other realtors, but instead of charging 6% to sell a property, we do it for a low, flat fee. So our sellers save thousands of dollars and they get better results. You didn't hear that from me. To learn more, head to talkingrealty.com to pick up our monthly newsletter or any of our free home seller tools. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and give us a quick rating. Now, let's get to it. So today we are talking about the use and misuse, there is such a thing, of offer deadlines in real estate. So the reason why I'm sticking this episode in here is because we are still in pretty peak season. It's summer here in Ohio, and things are pretty brisk. We haven't gotten into fall or anything like that. So as you can imagine, home sales are flying pretty good, and we're seeing a lot of offer deadlines. And the great thing about offer deadlines is I have sort of an old school mentality when it comes to offer deadlines, but I'm also willing to listen and willing to learn. And a client actually taught me some stuff this week that it was just an idea. This is why I love having such engaged sellers. You know, the funny thing, and we're going to talk about this actually in a future episode, is all of our fees are charged up front at the Ohio Property Group. We don't collect anything at closing. But the great thing about the upfront fee is that our sellers have skin in the game. And when they plunk down some money to pay us to help them sell their home, they tend to be a little more engaged. And it's wonderful because I get suggestions, and we encourage this sort of thing. Literally every email I send out from a business perspective, right before my signature says, as always, right? Please let me know if you have any questions. I love questions. Questions are where most of my content comes from. Questions are where all of our learnings come from. Ideas and suggestions, a lot of it comes from back and forth with clients. All right. So I have a property that it's been on the market a little longer than I anticipated. As you know, the market never lies, rule number one. And rule number two, if it's not selling, it's overpriced. So the seller has been ratcheting down the price over the last few weeks, just a little more, a little more, a little more. And they're doing the 1-2 punch, which is fantastic, right? So they lower the price midweek and announce a 2-hour open house for Saturday. Boom, right? Lower the house, 2-hour open house. And guess what? Hey, it worked. So we get an offer, and it is, I'm trying to do some math in my head, probably 10% lower than what they're asking. So it's a goodly sum away, especially in this particular price range. So it's not an insignificant number. It's not a new Escalade, but it's also not a Yugo. So it's somewhere between a Yugo and an Escalade, new Escalade, not a used one. All right. So the seller calls me, and we set up a quick call like, hey, we don't want to lose this buyer because it's the only one we have, but we're not selling it for that. So how do we get them to come up? And I said, well, ordinarily I would tell you to let it sit for a day because time is, when you have to deliver bad news, depending on the situation, many times letting it sit overnight is the way to go. Bad news meaning I'm going to counter your offer, particularly when we feel like the buyer wants something that we have. That's a good position. Even though they came in low, they still want it. They're still willing to plunk down a sizable amount of money for this house. So, okay, great. So they're willing to buy this house. We don't want to ignore that. They're interested. So normally I like to let them sit overnight before we send them a counter. Now, if they send us an offer that the seller's ready to take as is, get it done. Okay. Lock it down, get the paperwork done, and let's get rolling. Okay. Strike while the iron's hot sort of thing, but mostly because the love tank is full right now. That's an office truth. The love tank starts out full during the offer. It peaks at the offer. Always the love peaks at the offer. And then it just sort of drains and dwindles all the way down to closing. And you hope that you've got enough in the tank to get over the finish line. But anyway, so we've started out this deal. It's a little low and the sellers don't want to let them go, but they don't want to take it. So, okay, what do? The seller says, hey, why don't we set an offer deadline? And I, kept my composure and was like, well, normally we don't set offer deadlines until we have, multiple offers, or at least a strong indicator that we're going to get multiple offers. And he said, well, they don't know that. I'm just like, how did I not think of this? All right. So this is great stuff. So he tells me, Glenn, we want to set an offer deadline. So we pick a date, a few days out, we set an offer deadline, and I do everything that I normally do with an offer deadline, which I'll cover today. And guess what? It worked. That buyer came up, I am convinced, higher than what they would have in a counteroffer, because it was a pretty good number. As we called for highest and best, they were included in the, hey, we're calling for highest and best. So apparently they got the message. Now, I thought they would walk away, and I told the sellers that if they're this far away, there's a reasonable chance that they will walk away. And he said, I don't care. I don't want to lose them, but I'm never going to sell it to them for that price. So if they walk away, they walk away. It was never going to come together anyway. Smart seller. Maybe he read my book. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, he's a negotiator. This is what he does outside of real estate. But so he gets it. And this is what he told me he wanted to do. So this is what we're doing. And with success, I can't argue. It worked. So it made me think, you know what, let's break down how we do offer deadlines here. So you can kind of see maybe why it worked, because simply calling up the buyer and saying, hey, you got 3 days to send me your highest and best offer, probably would not have been successful. So in this case, I thought, why not tell you the whole playbook? This today is how we use them. But before I get to how I use them, I would like to tell you how you can misuse an offer deadline. A lot of people are afraid, hey, we want to set an offer deadline, but we don't want to look like idiots if we don't get any offers. I think you're giving the public and the realtor community at large way too much credit. I think the only time they notice offer deadlines is when a particular brokerage uses them every time. Every single listing comes out of the gate with an offer deadline. And there's actually a company out there, at least operating in my market, that does this. Every stinking offer has an offer deadline. Now, maybe enough people out there don't notice it, that it's effective. I think that's a misuse. I think that's overuse, maybe not misuse, but overuse. So now it loses its effectiveness because every single buyer who sees anything from that particular company knows it always has an offer deadline. And if the offer deadline comes and goes, they just pull it out of the MLS and they go back to selling it. So anyway, and for those of you who are wondering, there is no moral or karmic implications with an offer deadline. It just means you want highest and best by a certain date. You're not saying anything. You may be implying a lot of stuff, but you're not saying anything that's untrue, because that's one thing I won't do. I will let people believe what they want to believe when I'm negotiating against them, because that's part of the theater of negotiation, is letting their mind run wild, getting into their mind, seeing what they're seeing, the way they're seeing it, and imagining what tiny little phrase change you could make that's still true, but may send them off in a new direction. I mean, that's I live for this. I think this is so much fun. If you're assuming you're not announcing them on every property, or putting one out there on Tuesday, pulling it back because it didn't work, and then putting another one out Friday, and then putting another one out Monday, and continuing to just do this over and over, it loses its effectiveness. So just kind of keep that in mind. But outside of that, there are very few downsides to an offer deadline. All right, when to announce it? Ordinarily, about 2 or 3 days prior to when you want your offer deadline to end is when you announce it. Like, you don't want to announce an offer deadline the day of, and you don't want to announce it a week before, because a week is too long. A day is not enough. 2 to 3 days. That's it. Just work off of that. 48, 72 hours. And the way you announce it, we'll get to here in a little bit. But before you announce it, again, before I had this conversation with this particular seller, this is straight out of my playbook, which would have been, I wait for indicators that we're going to be in multiple offers, which would be multiple offers. That's a great indicator. If you get more than one offer, that's a pretty good sign you're going to get multiple offers. All right. All kidding aside, the other indicator is if your showing schedule blows up quickly. So you announce, you bring the property on, or you do a price change, and all of a sudden we've hit the right number, and then showings just light up. All right. Now we go from no showings or very, very, very few showings, say 1 or 2 a week, to I've got now 6 today, 12 tomorrow, 12 the next. Okay, we are locked up. If you shove that many buyers through that property in that short amount of time, you're going to probably get offers. So that's a safe bet. Announce the offer deadline. Trust me, it will save you some headaches because it does take the pressure off the moment and puts it back where it belongs, which is on the buyers. So if you get a ton of showings and you get multiple offers, that's a good time. The other one is frequent inquiries. So in my notes, I wrote frequent inquiries because sometimes we get on a hot property, I'll get agents asking, when is the offer deadline? All right, if you get that question from one agent on a slow property, whatever. I mean, that's just an agent who's out of touch. I don't know. Maybe they think it's busy, and that's great. You can use that. Okay, you can use that. You can answer by saying, you know what? An offer deadline has not been set just yet. So you're welcome to get your offer in ahead of it. And we'll see if we can't wrap it up before it goes into multiple offers. Great answer. Okay. Because that's part of that. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. Nothing at all. I didn't even say anything that's unethical. What I said was there is no offer deadline, 100% true. And I would encourage them to put in their offer. That's my job. Encourage buyers to buy my properties. All right. So, okay, all good there. I can sleep like a baby. But if you start to get that inquiry on a new property or on a property that just had a price change, and you get it from a couple different agents, like, hey, when's the offer deadline? Set the offer deadline. They're asking. Now, what happens when you set an offer deadline is the buyer agents run back to their buyers. Think about this. Show me a buyer agent who isn't at least somewhere in the back of their mind tired of showing properties to that buyer. I don't care if they showed them 3 houses. They're tired of showing them properties, right? They want them to buy already, for Pete's sake. Okay, well, that's okay, great. And I loved showing property, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to just show property for funsies all day long. I would like some people to write offers. Okay, so we try to shorten that period from the time I sign them as a buyer to the time they actually write an offer and get me to a closing where I can get paid back in the day. So that's kind of how buyer agents are thinking. So if you give them a reason to up the heat on their buyer, they will take it because they want what you want. They want that place sold because it's the only time they get paid. Unless they're upfront flat fee people like me, that's the only time they get paid. So if you give them an answer, which is, yeah, the offer deadline's coming, I'll make sure you know it, or have the seller set it so that you can reach out to hey, I got the offer deadline. It's blah, blah, blah at whatever. They're going to run back to their buyer. Oh my gosh, they set a deadline on that property. What's the message to the buyer? Get it in gear. And truth 11, nothing motivates a buyer like another buyer. I promise that episode is coming up. So, but you get it. All right. So the message to the buyer then from their agent, which is better get moving. And the real message in the back of the buyer's head is, oh my gosh, everybody wants this house. Well, when everybody wants it, whether you're convinced or not, you're now convinced. It's human nature. There are only so many resources, and we're trained to survive. Now we're talking about actual shelter, food, shelter, clothing, Maslow's hierarchy of need. There's not many things. If there's a food run, like before a blizzard, stuff will sell that you won't even eat, right? And then you wait for the Boy Scouts to have their can drive and you dig into the cupboard and find that stuff you bought before the blizzard of whatever year and pull it out and throw that in there. I mean, whatever. But my point is, people will buy anything if they think there's a scarcity going on. Toilet paper during COVID, there was no toilet paper shortage. All right. Well, back of the mind, lizard brain. Guess what? What did I just hear? The house that I want to live in with my family, people are trying to get it. It's like the running of the brides, It's just going to be a mad. Okay, great. This is what we want. A buyer feeding frenzy. This is what we're after. Okay. So once we have the buyers all peaked and we've decided to offer an offer deadline, the question is, where do we do this? How do we announce it? And, what sort of language do we use? So that's what I'm going to tell you. As many of you know, we do not run ads at the Ohio Property Group or for this podcast. We rely on word of mouth. So if you found any of this content useful or fun, please do not hesitate to share it or at least give it a quick rating and maybe even a review if you have a few extra seconds. I'd consider it a personal favor. All right, back to your regularly scheduled broadcast. So the first thing you want to do is communicate the offer, and you start with anybody that has an offer, because when you announce an offer deadline, when you say, I'm calling for highest and best, you will find that a certain percentage of buyers will walk away, and it may be your best buyer. So you don't want to do that. You need to mitigate that risk. So the way you do that is you contact the buyer agent or the buyer directly, if that's how you're working, and you say, listen, the seller has decided to set an offer deadline for blah, 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 Saturday night. I'm letting you know before it goes public, because I don't want you, if it's a buyer, or I don't want your buyer, if it's an agent, to read about it. I want them to hear it straight from us. Okay? So this is courtesy, respect, basic stuff. All right. When you give that agent or that buyer that level of respect, you're basically saying, I'm with you. Okay. I want you to do this. And the cool thing is you can also tack on, hey, by the way, I'm just going to assume, unless I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume that this is your highest and best offer and submit it for you. Okay. So look at me. Look how nice I am. I'm taking your offer that's maybe good, maybe not good, but I don't want to lose it. And I'm going to go ahead and say, this is their highest and best, because I'm talking to you right now, pro to pro. And what the effect is, about maybe 60, 70% of the time, statistics alert over here, 60 to 70% of the time, they will submit a better offer. They'll say, you know what, let me talk to my buyer. Thank you for letting me know. They feel it. They like, hey, if I was in your shoes, I'd want to know. So I'm letting you know. And let's be honest, if the buyer sees it online, because they're going to be ticked off that they had to see it online, that there was they're not going to be as in love. We're draining the tank. We don't need to do that. We can fix it with this. So first, communicate to buyers and agents who already have submitted offers. And the gist of that communication is, hey, it's happening. It's going to go public. I wanted you to know before, I want you to hear it from me and not see it in the public. So that's a critical piece. And then, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and submit this offer as your highest and best, unless I hear otherwise from you. Hey, it's fine if you want to pump your offer up. I'm fine with that. But I have found that when we started using this script a few years back, I've lost almost zero buyers. We used to lose a third when we went into multiples. About a third of buyers would say, I'm out. I'm not getting into bidding war. I'm out of here. Well, because we have massaged the language and built the rapport with the agent ahead of time, or the buyer, now we're able to say, hey, this is what's going on. I'm just letting you know. Just want to make sure you know so you don't hear public. Okay, so that softens the blow, and it does work. Okay, next is to contact anybody that's shown the property. And it's kind of the same thing, but a little bit different, is now, especially if they haven't given you any feedback, even if they have, but honestly, more and more, it's getting tough out there. Buyer agents don't want to submit feedback, and we ask for it over and over and over. But anyway, either way, you're going to contact them with essentially the following template, which is, hey, that property at 123 Main Street that you showed on, whatever, they're announcing a highest and best offer deadline of Saturday night. And I just wanted you to hear it from me. Your buyer may have moved on. And if so, best of luck no matter what you do, but thought you should hear it from me. Have a nice day. Okay. So most often, I'll get some type of response, and it will be either, oh my gosh, yeah, thank you for letting me know, because the buyer was on the fence. And now they have a reason to run back to their buyer and say, hey, that house you liked? You better get moving, because there's an offer deadline, which means they got probably hundreds of offers. I don't know. I can't control how a buyer agent embellishes what I tell them. That's a whole different topic. Anyway, and then the other response I get is, no, you know what? They wrote on a different property. They actually figured out they didn't like the area or whatever. Okay, great. Now I have feedback though, which hopefully I won't need, but at least I have it. So I can share that with the sellers, let them know, because I'm also letting my seller know that we're out here peddling for you, just so you know. Then once we've contacted all the offers and all the showing people, and if you've kept anybody else in the folder for that, a lead or somebody, just make sure you clear all that pipeline out before you announce. Once you've done all that, then you can go ahead and update the MLS public and private remarks. And almost everybody has rules about what can and can't be in the MLS public remarks. And I will tell you that in the state of Ohio, you can put offer deadlines in the public remarks. You can't put a lot of other stuff in there that doesn't describe the property, but you can put an offer deadline in there. So we make sure we go into the broker remarks in the MLS and we put in highest, star, highest and best offer deadline Saturday night with responses to be after that. Duh. But if I don't put that, you know what I'm going to get is a bunch of freaking emails from people that put in offers. They're like, hey, when are they going to respond? So if I just, it's going to be after the deadline. But I also stick in, that said, not in the public remarks, but in the private remarks, I always put in the line that says seller reserves the right to accept any offer prior to the deadline. So in other words, don't wait to submit your offer. Don't do it. Get it in here. Fast. Fast is good. That's what I want. Give me your offer. The other reason I do that is in case the seller happens to see their dream offer come floating over the transom and they decide to take it. Now I don't have a bunch of people angry at me. I don't have to wait until the deadline's over. I can just snatch it up, get it buttoned up, and then we go. All right. So I've kind of baked that. It's all implied, but sometimes it's good to say that stuff. Okay. If you have showing time, which all of my listings have access to showing time, some want it, some don't, but they should all want it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If that listing is in showing time, that's another good tool to use. You can re-announce. Now I do private emails to all the showing agents, but I'm going to re-announce it. Showing time has an announcement feature. I'll do it there. Just a reminder, because sometimes people don't get their email right away, but they do get showing time notifications on their phone. So agents, I mean. And so it's nice to see that, oh gosh, there's a highest and best, and it's got the picture of the house and it's got a link that can set up another showing, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, good. So I do that. And I put also in the showing remarks, I'll put highest and best by Saturday night, all responses on Sunday. Seller reserves the right to accept any offer prior to the deadline. Okay. And now we have announced. And a couple of things will happen. The seller, of course, is on a little pins and needles, but that's okay. I don't blame them because their big concern is what if we don't get a dream offer? What if what if this is a huge waste of time? Okay, well, it happens. It really does. And like I told you, with the companies that overuse it, you just go into the MLS and you remove it. Just go in, take it out, and guess what? Nobody's going to remember. I've done this for many years, as you know, and not one person has ever called me and say, "Hey, you had an offer deadline on that house, and it's still for sale." Doesn't happen. If I don't get any offers or any offers that we're willing to accept, we just go in, we silently remove the offer deadline, and we just get back to business as usual because none of our buyers were out there and our buyer didn't see it. If our buyer had seen it, they would have responded. So if there's no response, that means your buyer's not out there. Now, they're out there. They're just not on your radar yet. So no problem. That's what I mean. There's almost no downside. So you just remove the language from the MLS, continue your marketing, maybe lower your price. Probably a good idea. All right. So once the offers start coming in, there is a temptation to want to scrub every offer as it comes in. And I will scrub every offer, but we prefer to do them closer to the end of the deadline. I really kind of leave it up to my sellers. If they want every offer as it comes in, that's fine. But generally speaking, I just will reserve time in the day to do a few of them that came in overnight. I'll do them the next morning and I'll just do 2 or 3 of them and send them out. But we do a pretty exhaustive offer review. Our offer reviews are not just a forwarding email with, some warnings. We actually, our TFC, we read the freaking contract and we read it. Our rule is 3 times. So that way, we're Because if I miss something, that's a problem. Okay. You hire me to do something and I don't do it. That's a problem. So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen here. But regardless, the agent is hopefully, or the seller, if they're fielding their own office, is reading everything. And what you want to do is start a spreadsheet, right, with the columns. And I can, I'll make a note. We will publish something like that. My side by side, I'll link to it in the show notes, but my side by side offer comparison. It's just a spreadsheet. So it's not anything. It's not like I, reinvented the wheel over here. But anyway, you just start ranking them. So you put offer number one, maybe who the person is that submitted it, and you start with the price and you work through all the terms and you put them all there. So seller concessions, commission, things we just talked about in another episode. We're going to talk about, what's their earnest money look like? What's their financing look like? Is it pre-approved? Is it conventional, FHA, cash? What is it? Are they offering any appraisal gap coverage? Are they, when we just run down the list and we make sure, is all the documentation for that offer assembled? Did they sign the Ohio property disclosures in the state of Ohio? Like a lot of states, the seller has to sign a physical property disclosure talking about the history of the property for the last 5 years. Well, the buyer has to see it and sign it. It's a term in the contract. It's a legal term in the contract. So is that done? Do you have any addenda that are going to change things? All of that stuff needs to be stacked in a spreadsheet, because if you get 5 offers, 10 offers, 20 offers, you're definitely going to want to have some mechanism that you don't have to keep remembering what offer 13 said versus what offer 12 said, and so on and so on. So having a stack ranked side-by-side column of offers is critical to making a good decision. All right. So we compare, contrast the offers. And then what I like to do toward the end, or maybe even after the deadline, maybe Sunday, if it's Saturday night, maybe Sunday, is I'll contact the top 2 or 3, or maybe, let's say I've got 3 offers that are dangerously close and I want to start a mini bidding war. I can do that. I can contact those 3 offers with the simple, hey, we've got double-digit offers. If that's the case, if it's not the case, we just say we have a lot of offers, and you made the final round cut, right? This just sounds like, oh wow, this is great. So you made the final round cut, but what I need to know is, and then is there anything you can do with, and then whatever that deficient term is, the one that's a real hot button for the seller. Maybe it's possession. Maybe it's, maybe they want more money. maybe there's some stuff that the buyer asked for that the seller doesn't want to part with, or who knows. But you've talked to your seller about these 3 offers. You've talked to them and they've told you, boy, we'd really like this. All right, well, see if you can go get it. All right, if you're above list price, please go get appraisal gap coverage. If you don't know what that is, go to talkingrealty.com, get a hold of me. I will break it down for you. I'm pretty sure I have a blog about it as well, and I know it's in my book. So, but I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Anyway, all of these things. So you've now reworked your top 3. If you've got a bunch of offers and you've got 2 or 3 that are really strong, this is a great final round. So you can definitely do that and try to improve and get the last, little bit, because it sucks when you finish. Let's just say you don't do that little last round with the top buyers, and then you announce that they didn't win. Some of them are genuinely shocked. Well, we would have gone higher. And I want to just bang my head against the wall. Well, bang their head against the wall. Like, what part of highest and best did you miss? Okay, I wanted you. Well, we thought that would get it done. Okay, well, you were wrong. Okay, well, so rather than go through all that and find out there was more room, why not ask them? If they just same deal. Hey, you made the final cut. I'm assuming this is your highest and best, but just wanted to give you another chance. If there's anything you can do with this, I know that would be very appealing to the seller. And then insert whatever that term is the seller is interested in. Okay. Very good. Most home sellers dread inspection and appraisal issues. Our digital course, Living to Listing, teaches you how to turn any property into the perfect listing so you sail through inspections and appraisals to sell faster and for more money. In Living to Listing, you'll get dozens of checklists, tools, and walkthrough videos from yours truly for every step. And here's my promise. If this course doesn't meet your high standards, just tell me. I'll give you your money back and let you keep the course. Doesn't get any better than that. You literally have nothing to lose. So head over to livingtolisting.com, check out the free videos, and let me know what you think. So now we've got our offers compared, contrasted, and we're ready to go. You've done your final round. You've selected your top offer. We call it your primary offer because we're going to get backups out of this. But for now, primary offer, and we know which offer it is. We go basically ghost everybody else. We tell them if they ask, hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You got an answer. All you say is, we don't have it yet. I promise to let you know as soon as we do. No matter what else they say. Okay. Well, my buyer is leaving town. My buyer is this, my buyer is that. They want to go look at it. I understand that. And I feel for you. I don't have it yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you know. And you just keep saying that. Okay. Don't paint yourself into a corner. They'll tell me by noon, we're really close. Don't say that stuff. Okay. Say, we don't have it yet. As soon as I have it, I will definitely let you know, because it's the truth. I don't care if you're one initial away from having it. You don't have it yet. Okay. So until then, I get this question also. Sunday morning, we have a showing today. Let it happen. We don't have it yet. Okay. We don't have it. So don't act like you have it until you have it. All right. We've seen deals fall apart at the very last second. So until we have it, we don't have it. All right. I think I've hit that. Okay, good. Anyway, get all the paperwork done. If there were changes to that offer that need to be made, let's get them changed. Okay. If you needed to change title company, if you needed to change dates on the inspections, whatever you need to do, make it happen, because until everybody agrees and it's all buttoned up on paper, then you're not done. All right. Once the offer is completely buttoned up, paperwork is done, and you've done, we call it welcome to the party, where you notify the lender, the title company, everybody. Hey, we've got a deal. These are the dates. These are the deadlines. These are the terms. Rock and roll. I'll see you at the finish line. Until the welcome to the party goes out, then you're still negotiating. Okay, once you have the primary offer buttoned up, welcomed, and rolling, then before you update the MLS, okay, very important, again, because we don't want our backup buyers finding out by seeing a status change that they didn't win, because it's just not nice. Before we change it in the MLS, we go back to every other buyer, especially the top buyers, and say, listen, we have two conversations. Ones we would consider as a backup. We go back to them and say, hey, thank you so much for putting up with this. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your strong offer. It was extremely close. You can steal this word for word. It was extremely close, but the sellers ultimately chose to go with a different buyer. However, while I don't anticipate any issues with this buyer, I've been around long enough to know that you never know. So if you would like to submit this offer as a backup, my seller will consider it. And that's how you deliver the bad news. You deliver the bad news with another door open. Because if you just say, hey, you didn't win, you're going to get into a protracted discussion of why didn't I win? What do you mean I didn't win? Well, how badly did they beat us? And you may still get some of that. All you have to say to that is, naturally, I can't answer that. But I will look at it as a backup. So please consider that. And then just stop the conversation, because this is going nowhere. Okay. And it usually does work. With all your other offers that maybe they wouldn't consider as a backup, you still want to let them know, hey, so I don't say things like, this is how I word those, is, hi, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for the offer. It was close, but the seller ultimately chose to go with a different offer. That said, they are still looking for backup offers. So if your buyer wishes to submit something as a backup, please let me know. All right. So I didn't say they would consider their offer, but they are looking for backups. And frankly, if we don't get any offers as backups in the top 5 or 6, maybe I would consider number 12. We don't know. It's just insurance policy. Backup offers are there just in case, on the off chance the first buyer doesn't make it to the finish line. It's also good leverage against the first buyer, because they don't know how good or bad your backup buyer is. But if you're in a situation where you have to renegotiate something like an inspection or appraisal issue, it's nice to kind of drop it in there. Like, well, considering the strength of the backup offers, I don't know if the seller will do this. The answer is, I don't know if the seller will do it. And considering the strength or not strength of the backup offers, those are two, we call them non sequiturs, I think is what the world calls them. I don't know. Two statements that really don't have anything to do with each other, but they look awfully good together. All right. Once we've done all this and we've gotten our primary offer done and we've notified all of our other offers and solicited backups, we don't even have to wait for the backups to come together. We need to go into the MLS and update the status to contingent or pending or whatever it is. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how we handle offer deadlines. And, I'm always open to new things, as you heard in the opening. We are using now an offer deadline to negotiate a lowball offer, which we've never tried it before, and it was successful. I thought that one was going to go up in smoke as soon as I saw it, but using the offer deadline, the buyer came up quite a ways, actually. So, that's just great. Nothing motivates a buyer like another buyer. So there are times if we get into multiple offers and we only got maybe 2 or 3 and we have a deadline, there's nothing, you don't have to wait till the end. We put that note in there. It's okay to start countering those and saying, hey, this is another favorite you can steal, is I will go back to the strongest looking offer with this, because the seller might say, look, Glenn, I'm not going to take any of these offers. I'll say, well, what would you take? Well, if offer number such and such could get this done, whatever that change is, price or some other term, shorten, whatever it is they want, I'll go back to that agent and say, hey, listen, stuff is still coming in. We're still in the middle of this. We like to say we're still sifting through everything. But I think I can convince my seller to pull your offer to the top because you're close enough on these terms and it's a strong offer. Everybody thinks their offer is strong, so that's not hard for them to believe. But if we could just get aligned on these 2 things, whatever it is, price, whatever, then I think we can make this happen today. This is important to say today or right now, because they don't want to wait until the end of the deadline. They want it done. They're tired of their buyer hounding them. What's going on? This is a huge benefit. I can not only get the deal, I can get it done right now and beat all those other buyers. And stuff is still coming in. Oh my gosh. So this is great. This works. It works over and over and over. And it's a great tactic, especially if the offers that are coming in are not blowing your socks off. There are modified versions of this, but I think we've covered enough on this today. I would encourage you to stay on top of the market. There are new tactics and new trends and new techniques, and we will do our level best to keep you up to speed. But that's a good reason to jump onto our newsletter because it's free. And when stuff breaks, I usually have content about it. And typically that's where you're going to find out about it, is in the newsletter or on this podcast. But sometimes I release videos, sometimes I release blog posts, sometimes I just do email to my client base and my newsletter base. So you just never quite know. But the fact is, things are always evolving, even though this is kind of a slow moving train here in real estate, because things are, slow to change. This is the most radical change we've seen recently with these lawsuits and stuff. So it's kind of exciting. And we gravitate to that change and that revolutionary stuff because that's kind of who we are. So there you have it. Everything you wanted to know and maybe some stuff you didn't want to know about offer deadlines and how to use and how to not use offer deadlines. I hope you make $1 jillion off of this advice. If you do, let me know. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you learned a little something or maybe had some fun. If so, share this episode with someone on the socials and feel free to tag me if you do. The Talking Realty Podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Property Group, a family-owned brokerage serving all 88 Ohio counties with realtor services. By the way, if you have questions, you have topics, you have something you'd like us to cover in future episodes, I would love to know that. Just head over to talkingrealty.com or look in the show notes. You'll find my contact information. Please say hello. Tell me what you think. Even if it's not something I'm going to enjoy reading, I still want to hear it. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, keep making smart moves in your real estate journey. For the Ohio Property Group, this is Glen Whitten signing off. And remember, you can sell it. We can help.